Welcome to the It's Been Said podcast. I'm your host, SAI Executive Director Lisa Ramey. Today's episode is a special edition of the It's Been Said podcast. Dave Daughton, Government Relations Director, will discuss his perspective on current legislative topics relevant to district and school administrators. He'll offer his insights on this subject matter periodically over the coming months. Let's hear from Dave.
Hello, everyone. This is Dave Daughton of School Administrators of Iowa giving you the legislative update for week number 3 of the legislative session. Week 3 continued to be eventful for us. It started out with a great day on the Hill, once again sponsored by SAI, along with ISB and the AEAs. It was really great to connect with SAI members and discuss some of the year's issues. More importantly, we appreciated seeing you talk to legislators to inform them and advocate for students in our schools. Continue to do that as we move through the session. The highlight of Day on the Hill for me is always getting to go through the student showcase displays. I really enjoy asking students questions and seeing them interact with legislators and others. It's always a great experience, and if you haven't done that in the past, I would encourage you to try to attend in the future and see the student showcase. By the way, if you have students that you'd like to bring to our next student showcase next January, just let us know and we'll get you on the list. As far as legislative news, we continue to wait and see what will be proposed on SSA. The governor's proposal is 2%, as you know, with an additional $42 million to cover the budget guarantee. That $42 million would eliminate the need for individual districts to do property tax increases to cover for the budget guarantee. So we'll see where that goes. We hope to see proposals from the House and Senate next week. I have heard some very good conversations about the overall cost of an SSA increase and how, with the overall decline of Iowa's student enrollment, a larger per student SSA should be affordable, but we'll wait and see. The other big topic are the property taxes and the property tax bills. House Study Bill 596 and the governor's bill, House Study Bill 563, did have subcommittees this week. We continue to have concerns about Division 5 of the House bill, which requires a bond election and a 60% vote in order to bond against sales tax revenues. As far as House Study Bill 563, the governor's bill, we continue to share concerns about the residential exemptions and how those would impact total valuations and tax rates for our districts. We also have concerns about the impact on SAVE funding for districts if the property tax relief is accelerated as proposed by the governor's bill. If that were to happen, then we'd likely see more bond levies to replace those funds, which would in turn increase property taxes, which goes against what they are trying to do. So again, we'll wait and see what comes out of the compromise discussion. The Education Committees met this week as well. Several bills passed through the House Education Committee. One of them increases the U.S. government requirement for graduation from 1/2 to a full unit, which means you could either teach a full year of government or you could teach 2 semesters. As they put that into context, it does not increase the total number of units of social studies. So it could replace one of the units or a half a unit, but does not add to the top. And it would not be effective until the 28-29 school year, which gives districts plenty of time to be able to get that set up. House Study Bill 555 is a DE bill on teacher preparation programs. It specifies additional training for differentiation for teachers that are in the programs, but it also requires an end of program assessment for those potential teachers, something we did away with a couple of years ago. So we'll see where that goes. House File 2079 requires school districts to accept cash for sporting events. Districts would have to accept cash, and the Athletic Association, the Girls Union, would have to accept cash for admission to those events. House Study Bill 558 is a civic seal program that directs the Department of Education to develop and administer a seal signifying civics proficiency by students. And that could be applied to transcripts and diplomas. And it would be optional for the school districts. In addition, the House Higher Education Committee approved House Study Bill 533. And normally we don't deal with the Higher Education Committee, but in this case we did. There was an amendment to that bill which would conduct a pilot project to allow 4-year degrees in community colleges. So that was the House Education Committee. The Senate Education Committee also met and approved 5 bills. They also approved Senate File 274, which was a school sports entry fee bill, which we talked about already. Senate File 2005 for shared teacher functions, and that incentivizes districts to share CTE teachers if they need to by allowing supplemental weighting through the operational sharing process. Senate File 2006 deals with K through 5 physical activity. What this bill is really about is it prohibits removing recess time as a motivational tool or punishment by requiring physical activity time outside of physical education. Senate File 2007 addresses school resource officers, SROs, and it increases the operational sharing weighting for SROs from 2 to 4, and that increases the funds that districts are able to get. Senate File 2043 has to do with the flex account process and spending. This bill allows districts to add TSS to flex accounts and lessens red tape for transferring funds from the flex fund. Districts have asked for this, and so we appreciate the Senate moving this forward. So those were the education committees and bills that they passed. Those bills now go to their respective floors for debate, where they could be debated and move forward, or they may die there. We'll have to wait and see. It was another full week of subcommittee meetings as well, with 25 to 30 education-related subcommittees in a 3-day span. Some of the more important ones that passed through subcommittee, and I'll hit these briefly, but I would encourage you, if you're listening to this podcast, to go back in to the printed version of this, the electronic version, online version of this, and click on the bills, and you can go right to them that way. House File 2003 creates a pilot program to develop centers to serve students with behavioral issues. It uses a portion of the 90% of special ed funds that go into the AEAs. We really support finding ways to serve students with behavioral issues, but we cannot support opening up the 90% of special education funds to fund it. We have proposed a couple of other funding streams to use to do the pilot project, and so we'll see if we're able to work through that and get that done with the legislators. House File 2122 is a student discipline bill that I've been talking to you about for a couple of weeks. It includes language similar to the Senate bill, Senate File 2044, and it has to do with rights of teachers and removing kids from classrooms. SSB 3015 requires the Board of Educational Examiners and school districts to verify immigration and citizenship status with their new hires and with new licenses. This is the bill that will require school districts to use E-Verify or a similar product as they're doing background checks. Senate Study Bill 3043 is a bill that takes the CTE pathway for licensure and applies it to shortage areas for teachers. This will impact our teacher shortage issue, we hope. It addresses in shortage areas such as fine arts, math, and science. Senate Study Bill 3042 is the talented and gifted acceleration pathway that the Department of Ed has proposed. It mandates tag placement requirements and requires districts to develop acceleration plans in math and other subjects that include automatic placement. The DE bill for the House, the same bill as House Study Bill 554. House File 2124 mentions a statewide student information system, but we learned in this subcommittee that the intent is not to have a statewide SIS, but to have a bridge from the district's current student information system to the Department of Education. So we'll have to look at the language for the amendment that's going to go in on that. Senate Study Bill 3041 mandates that districts allow excused absences for FFA and 4-H activities. I was unable to attend that subcommittee, so I'm looking forward to having some conversation with legislators about that next week. Senate File 2061 establishes a fund for non-public school safety grants. We believe it takes dollars off the top of SAVE before it's distributed to our public school districts. And so we need to have some conversations about that one as well. House Study Bill 557 concerns English learners and open enrollment. And what it does, it allows the receiving district to decline the open enrollment if they do not have a suitable program that meets the needs of kids who are applying for the open enrollment. House Study Bill 604 allows community-based preschool providers to receive state funding directly. It's different from what it's been in the past. Senate File 2094 has to do with a computer science graduation requirement. The intent is to make it as a part of other subject area requirements, not as an add-on. House Study Bill 610 is basically the same bill. And another computer science bill is Senate Study Bill 3050, which allows some STEM-related courses to substitute for a computer science requirement for graduation. Senate File 2066 is related to students attending conferences that contain human growth and development information and would require parent notification. And there are also multiple bills relating to freedom of speech, diversity, etc. Senate File 2062, House File 2106, and Senate File 2063 and others. We're monitoring those bills to see if they gain traction. Numerous bills, as you can tell, were discussed during the week. And according to one source, there were 63 new bills introduced yesterday, which would be Thursday, as of this recording. Only 3 of the 63 are education related. So that's a positive reminder for us that we can at least hang our hat on. Continue to be engaged with your legislators, continue to educate them about the real impact of some of these bills on the education of students. Be patient, be kind, and be informed. Take a look at some of those bills and read up on them and share what you can with your legislators and your communities. As always, feel free to contact me with questions. Take care and have a great weekend.